as Director General of TECO in Boston, I would really like to see more students from the US go to Taiwan to study, teach English, travel, and so forth. What is your best advice to those students who are considering going to Taiwan? And what are the advantages of Taiwan for this?
Very important as well. So thanks, Charles. I think that first of all, I have several students who have been to Taiwan recently and are headed to Taiwan this summer to continue their language learning and also deepen their work experience in the tech sector, which is an interesting piece we can also dive into if you're interested. So I think yours is not a theoretical question for me. It's one I get frequently in the classroom and in my office. I would say that the advice that I usually give students who are thinking about going to Taiwan is, I say a few things. And it repeats a lot the advice given to me when I traveled abroad by a range of mentors. And one is, I think we tend to forget this, right? There are multiple Taiwans, right? Just like there are multiple Americas.
Yes.
So what I tell the students is, get out there, get around, get out of the capital, because you have to, the only way you're going to understand how complicated the place is you need to see regional differences, not just linguistically and certainly in terms of food, but also in terms of mindset, political attitudes. And that will also enable you to understand how much Taiwan has changed, how important that story is, going from in a very authoritarian regime to a vibrant democracy, right? I mean, that is something that even people at the time, first of all, not that long ago. Second of all, it happened so quickly that most people, I think even within Taiwan, certainly outside of Taiwan, really could not predict how rapid that change occurred. Things that the only way that you have a better, I think, understanding of the complexity of the place is to get out and to talk to lots of different people. So one thing I tell them is jump in. Do not be concerned about if your language isn't very good. Understand that just try and get out often from the cities, to me, is the most important. You don't have to be a perfectionist, particularly with language. I think you get into trouble if you are worried about failing and are a perfectionist. So I think that when you can flip that same answer around when you talk about the advantage for Taiwan, I hope that in sending our students, Taiwanese people will see that there are multiple Americas. I mean, you can see that simply by comparing CNN to Fox News, of course, but I'm sure most Taiwanese don't do either. They wouldn't know those as much, so they wouldn't know about these differences. It's really only through their interactions generally with Americans. And so I think the same opportunities there when we have these types of interactions at a human level, where we all take psychological shortcuts, right? So when we can read lots of books, we can take lots of classes about Taiwan, but we all will then in the end attend to, at an emotional level, it is the narrative of our own experience that drives, I think, a lot of our own bias, good and bad. So I think that's the opportunity for Taiwan as well. And there's lots of examples where now we've had students who have been working with us on these conferences who've also worked at AIT, for example, Department of Commerce on some of these issues for semiconductors, others on energy. And that's a wonderful positive cycle where they're working in Taiwan, they come back and they're at the Kennedy School. We run these seminars. And that way there's quite a bit of learning, even also for us, of course, as well, who are teaching them. So I think that's generally how I would think about that particular question.
Yeah. And also, it is very easy to get out of the capital. The transportation in Taiwan is just so convenient for even foreigners, to travel around Taiwan. Yeah. So I would definitely, encourage every foreigner just to travel to, every part of Taiwan. You will
easy to do.
Yeah. Exactly. And you will see every different aspect of Taiwan. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and similarly, Charles, so maybe to answer the other question as well, in a different way, I think people underestimate the role of social policy. We talk a lot about it here, where social policy, the role of social nonprofits, social organizations is so massive in Taiwan. There's so many of those stories where when we talk a lot about how do we support more case studies about social policy in Taiwan and that kind of vibrancy. So I think that when people walk around a bit, talk to a range of different people in Taiwan, they'll also get a sense, even looking at things that I really care about, like the conservation of natural areas for birds, as one example, down south. I mean, by doing that and seeing how in the end there was some government support, but most of it really was through nonprofits and social organizations. A very important migratory stopover, basically, for a particular type of bird was saved mostly through a bottom-up movement, right? So I think those are the stories that move people the most about when they try to understand a new place.
Yeah, indeed.